Hey. What's up? What's up? Can you guys hear me okay? Let's just double check, make sure the audio is good and everything. I've gotten in the habit of doing that. Not making any assumptions that it's just going to work. Craig says it looks like in the thumbnail that I dropped something on my feet. I know, I had to make a thumbnail quick and that's what I came up with. So yeah, that's what you get. Should I try these glasses and see if they help me see any better? Let's see. Oh, not really. Nah. They're my caddis glasses. I like them, but I can actually see pretty good with my contacts. Okay, what are we talking about here? What do we got? Pete Thorn, good day, says Mark. It looks like Chris is in West Hollywood. He says, greetings. Happy belated Halloween, says BC Rich. Congratulations to the Dodgers. You know, I was kind of okay either way. It was either my city winning or my country winning, you know, because of course can take the boy out of Canada, but you can't take the can out of the boy. But I've lived in LA forever, so I was good either way. I was kind of like, this is going to work out either way. And you know, the way I look at it is LA's had a tough year, and it really needed some good vibes. And last night was a good vibe. That was a unbelievable baseball game. I don't watch baseball really, but last night I did. And you know, as we're watching the game, you know, I was thinking like, this is probably a pretty exceptional baseball game. Like, because I think baseball is generally maybe not that exciting. And it was like unbelievable. It's like, this could go either way. It's crazy. Like it was just awesome. And you got to hand it to both those teams. They were both like, I mean, some of those plays were just unbelievable. It was like they're both going for it hardcore. It was really, really fun to watch, actually. Here's a question that you don't get every week. How was the colonoscopy and how's the shoulder? I'm good. I had a clean bill of health. You know, I was talking about this last week for those that are just joining. I was last Monday off to get one of those procedures that you're supposed to do when you get a little bit up there in years. And everybody should do it, man. It's good to go get screened and make sure you're good. And I'm all good. So everything's cool. Ben says, great series, best in years. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable, right? And everybody's saying that was one that they'll talk about, you know, as one of those amazing series, an amazing World Series game for sure last night. Unbelievable. But the whole series was great, right? It was crazy. I felt like watching that game last night was sort of like watching Edmonton Oilers versus Florida Panthers, the whole series. Because it just felt like it could, you know, like the whole thing, what was it, 11 innings, just bonkers. Like it felt like this could just go either way. And then when LA won, it was like so sudden. And just like 15 minutes before that, it was like maybe not going to, I don't know. It's just crazy, right? I don't know that much about baseball, but it was fun to watch, and I really did enjoy it. And then I happened to be in Little Tokyo last night, which is downtown LA. You know, the sort of Japanese part of downtown LA, Little Tokyo. There's a great izakaya down there. If you're in LA and you want to go, it's really fun. It's a punk rock izakaya. For those who don't know what an izakaya is, it's basically like simple food and drinks. And this is really more food. I mean, it was like they're doing a soft opening, so it's just like beers and stuff. It's very basic, but it's a punk rock izakaya with like posters of, you know, the Damned and Generation X and the Ramones and the Go-Go's and like all over the place. And they're playing punk rock in there. And the guy that started it is a guitar player in a band. He's also a really, really talented chef. And he's a Japanese guy. Plays in a punk rock band, and he just loves punk rock and he loves food. So he started a really fun izakaya. So planned to go there last night. Went, sat there watching the game on the phone, the last of the game on the phone, because I watched it earlier. I was in a kind of tavern watching for half of it, and then like, if we're gonna make it to the izakaya, because it was only open 5 to 9 last night, soft opening thing, we better go. Went, sat there and watched the end of the game on the phone, and then we're in Little Tokyo. Well, Otani being from LA, or sort of being, you know, Japanese, but you know, playing for LA, and the other guys, Yamamoto and on the team and stuff like that. It's a big deal in Little Tokyo that there's these Japanese players on the Dodgers. Why can't I talk? And so I don't know. There was like a watch party like right around the corner. We didn't even realize. We got out of there and it was crazy. Like it was like bedlam on the streets last night in LA, at least in Little Tokyo. I'm sure many parts of LA were like that, but there had been some sort of watch party going on set outside. So there was like a lot of people on the street and everybody going nuts and driving around with their Dodgers flags and going crazy, celebrating. It was a good vibe in Little Tokyo last night. Just really fun. It ended up being kind of a really fun day. We'd sort of like, should we watch the game? I don't know. Maybe we were kind of somewhere where it was like convenient to go in and watch the start of it. Got into it and like, let's still go eat Japanese food later and continue watching the rest of it. Did that. It was great. What else happened? Halloween happened. It was fun this week. My friend Billy Howardell had a little gathering at his place, which was really fun. Went there and saw some other friends like Dave Friedman and Matt Junkins and different folks, and it was really cool. This week I put up a video for the Keeley Manus, sitting right there on my desk. Nice version of the classic Klon pedal with a couple nice switches on it to switch for some different kinds of clipping, as well as a bass boost if you want to get a little more fat out of your single coils or whatever you got. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Put that up this week. All right, let's look into the comments here and see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. It was a good game. Truly was. Yeah. Good for the sport to have exciting games. Agreed. Yeah. Any advice for touring guitarists looking to get more into doing sessions? I've done lots of gigs and tours, Faster Pussycat, Mandy Lion since moving to LA, but I'm interested in doing sessions. Sessions is tough because what is sessions anymore? It's like most guys that I know that are doing sessions kind of do them with their own studio setup. They get emailed tracks from people and they're laying stuff down, sometimes on the road. Like, I use Sean Hurley as an example. Great bass player, just toured with John Mayer again. He's been with Mayer on and off for many, many years. Very, very talented cat, known as a great session player as well. He's constantly recording every day on the road. He's got a little UA interface and his bass in the dressing room, and he's playing on people's stuff all the time. I don't know where he gets the, whether it's word of mouth or just over the years and stuff where he's getting the sessions, but seems like he does a lot of that work. Now, it's not like he's not going to studios when he's in LA. He is. He's I'll see photos of him on Instagram and stuff, and he'll be at the Village or different studios, doing sessions. And that's he just cultivated that over a long time. Basically, it's all about getting to know producers, I think, or getting in some sort of network where people know that they can email you tracks and you can do things at home and they know that you've got that set up. I mean, I'm doing something like that right now. And that's a networking thing. It came through Kenny Aronoff and my friend Jürgen Carlson. So I'm working on a track for a guy this week that just knocking out a solo and some guitars. Comes through getting to know producers, getting to know, people that are working in the type of, music field that you want to work in, and then saying, hey, I'm available, if you want to have me down to play on stuff or over to your studio, or you can always send me things. It seems like the easier it is often these days, the better. Like if you can, if you have a home studio set up and, you got I'll often just tell people like, hey, send me stuff. I've got all my stuff here. It's fast. It's easy. I can, well, sometimes not fast, depending on my schedule, but it's easier for them often and more cost effective to send you a track than it is for them to, have a session booked somewhere. But sometimes they want to have everybody in the same room and for that vibe, and that's totally valid and important to do as well. So, but yeah, it's not. I don't have a one answer other than get to know producers. I think there's like some people have done this on Brit had a pretty good run of what's it called? Fiverr? Is that the site where you offer up services and say, hey, for $100 I'll play on your track or whatever? She actually like got quite a bit of work out of that and was charging like wasn't like scale session fee, but I think she got up to I don't know, 250, $300 a track or something like that she was charging people to play drums on their songs. And she's pretty fast, so she could knock out a tune in like, probably from the time she'd get into her studio till being done was an hour, and making, a few $100 like at a pop, kind of doing that. And that was just on Fiverr. She just got kind of creative with, she knew about Fiverr. I think that's what it's called, right? Fiverr. I've never used it. I don't go on there for anything, but I think that's how she was doing it. A site where, you offer up services for a fee. Part of it was she did a collab video with a guy. This is another way to get the word out, I guess. She did a collaboration video with a guy that's a well-known drummer with like 1 million subscribers on YouTube or something. And he said, hey, I want to make this video where I send you a track and I'll pay you to play on it, and you play on it. And he was sort of, I think he found her on Fiverr. Actually, it was like, I'm going to send you a track and I'm going to pay you. I'm going to hire you off of your, your Fiverr thing. And will you be a part of the video though? Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, sure. So he was like, let's see what I can get. Like, he made this video with a clickbaity title or whatever, but it's like, let's see what, $25, $50 or $300 buys me or whatever, as far as getting drums done on my song. Something like that. It was a much better title than that. But anyway, she's in the video. You can find it on YouTube, and it's quite interesting. He went and found people, because people are undercutting like crazy on. I mean, $15, I'll play on your song. It's like, there's no money in this stuff anymore. But anyway, she was like the most expensive. He's like, okay, she's charging $250 or whatever it was. Wow, that's a lot more than everyone else. Let's see what it sounds like. But he, at the end of the day, he was like, she was the best. It was the best track. And this video of her, and this is years ago that she did this. But anyway, she got a lot of. I mean, that video got like 1 million+ views, I think. And so she got a lot of work out of that. Like, just out of the blue, it was like she was getting offers from people all the time because they saw her playing drums in the video. And so it's things like that. There's just all these ways these days, to kind of reach people and get out there. And one little thing like that, or a collaboration with somebody, and all of a sudden it's like you're hot for a minute. Everybody wants you, and then you just build on that, I guess. I would say important to have your, like a home recording setup going so that you can offer people an easy and quick, because that's the way most people are working these days. Unfortunately, maybe. I really miss the days of, everybody getting together in rooms and playing together, but it seems like a lot of people are doing the farmed out kind of like, recording not in the same place, sort of way of doing things these days, for better or for worse. So having a setup to do that is very important. It's a different world that we live in these days. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful, Chris. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Looking through the chat. What are you guys talking about? Very little talk about guitar in here this week. It's mostly about colonoscopies. Broxall said he's on his new computer. What'd you end up getting? It's PC, right? I think you said you were setting up a new PC and then it was a pain. I hope it's working good for you, though. Yeah. Okay. Down to the bottom of the chat. See what you're talking about down here. Have you checked out the Sono AI tools? What I've seen previewed is astounding. The new skill set is how to craft AI prompts for creating compositions. Yeah, I honestly, I just I saw Henning's video, and I thought he did a quite a good and informative video on it, and made a lot of good points. Just about the fact that he's a trained, went to music school and stuff, and knows how to. I think he's, able to compose strings and things like that, and he knows about it. And the strings that this is an AI. Basically, you can go in there and say, "Make me a song that sounds like whatever, you know what I mean? And with strings and 132 BPM and like whatever, and it'll, and you can keep honing it and stuff and getting it closer and closer to whatever you want. And it's scary as hell. I don't know, man. I think that I mean, I'm just an old guy with probably, bit of a ignorance about it all, but I sort of feel like I don't see this. I almost see a backlash to AI. Like, I see a lot of, if there's an AI photo up on Instagram or Threads or something, or a video that's obviously AI, there's a whole lot of people chiming in saying, this is AI BS, and kind of almost like offended, like, because you know how it is when you see stuff, you're like, you get sucked in for a minute and you're like, this is AI. Shit. And it's kind of annoying, like a cute animal video or whatever. And then it's like, oh. And it's like my instant reaction is almost that it's sort of offensive or something. Like, I spent time on that. Like, I don't think it's cool or cute or it's just kind of frustrating. And I'm just sort of getting that sense from other people in their comments. Maybe I'm off base. What do you guys think? Like, I'm interested in other people's opinions about it, but I think there's going to be a backlash against it. And I think the kind of thing, I'll never forget, like Noel Gallagher in the Oasis documentary that came out a number of years ago, or a couple of years ago now, where that was kind of documenting the sort of their rise to, becoming festival superstars, sort of like at around 96 when they were really hitting this peak. And now we've, of course, seen the reunion and how successful that's been and how insane those shows are for them. But anyway, before they ever did the reunion, I remember Noel Gallagher saying, people will never forget the way that you make them feel. Because Oasis was a band that made people feel something. Like if you're a normal person, you're just a punter going to the pub or whatever, or just a kid that didn't have like how do you break out? How do you whatever? Like it or not, I've said this before in here, but Oasis was the ultimate sort of like, we can do anything. Like it's very sort of punk rock in a way, and also just sort of like, their whole spirit was like very positive, even though they were kind of crazy and partiers and lots of alcohol and drugs and all that stuff. They were very positive about it all, trying to have a good time, like the best time possible was kind of and we're going to be the biggest thing. We're going to be the best we can do it, even though like, that whole thing. And they made people feel that way, I think, and kind of join in this anthemic sort of energy. You just can't do that with AI. Like that's not going to happen with some sort of concert that's a virtual, I've been to the ABBA, hologram show a couple times, actually. I ended up at it twice in London, and it's really cool, and it's exciting and everything, but it's not like watching a real band play, even though there's a band there playing. But the having the, for those that, I guess I'm probably unique. There's probably some people in the chat that have seen it, but unless you've made a trip to London to go there and see it, it's an installation. You would have had to go to London and see it. So maybe I'm unique in here, that maybe I'm the only one here that's seen it, or maybe some other, if anybody's seen it, let me know what you think. It's sort of not a concert. It's not a movie. It's a new thing that's sort of a combination of those things, but it's not going to replace real people and the way that real people make you feel. And I just think that that's the case with AI. And we're starting to see this, maybe with the I think there was an announcement this week that, sorry, I'm a little ignorant. I can't remember if it was labels or streaming platforms, but people that aren't going to allow tracks that are AI tracks to be released. Is that or something like that? It was like, where they need to be clearly labeled or something. There was some sort of ruling this week. Somebody clarify for me if it was basically like the industry battling against this sort of thing, and I think that that's good, and I just think though that there is there's going to be like a backlash that people don't want to listen to it or watch it. They don't want to just tune out and go, well, a computer made this, so make me feel good. I don't know. It just feels gross to me or something, to be honest. Is it a tool that you can use? Yeah. I mean, it's a tool that you can use, but like I've seen people say, I want AI to clean my house and do the dishes, not, make art like while I'm doing the dishes and cleaning my house, whatever, it's like, I want AI to do these tasks that are mundane, that don't require creativity, so that I can go do the fun stuff and the creative stuff as a human being. That's sort of the way I feel about it. But you know, it's hard to say. It's just Tom says he was watching AI videos and realized they were or leaguer videos and realized they were AI. Is Michael here? I think Michael Nielsen's here. I saw him this week. Something Chris was saying, Michael Nielsen, pressure bring 412s to gigs. Oh yeah, you're Michael. I saw Michael was mentioning that he's always going to bring a 412. Yeah. And I like that on the sort of, you know, it's a similar sort of, you know, yeah, old school. Let's make noise and play gigs and be human beings. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me know your thoughts on all of that. And what's a good audio interface? I'm a longtime UA user. I like Apogee stuff too. I'm friends with all those folks, and I like what they do. A lot of good stuff out there these days. They've all learned from one another, and everybody's made advancements and stuff. But I'm a UA user. I have an X8P as my main interface here. It's a generation or two old. They've got newer versions of it out, but it still works great. It sounds amazing. So I've got an older 8P and then a newer X8P that's still one generation past, I think. It's not the newest. And I've got them in my desk here in a rack and kind of interfaced so that their processing power is all linked up and stuff. I can use them together. Yeah. Okay. Do you know anything about Nuno's new guitars? I don't. I see that he's doing his own guitar brand. I wonder if he kind of like, I don't even know if Washburn, like what's going on with them. Are they a company still? Maybe he's working with ex folks from there. I don't know, that he just kind of went to do his own company with. I'm not sure, but you know, it's easier than ever, I think, to link up and do OEM kind of, because I assume he's probably having them made and, you know, designing them and stuff, and then having a company make them. You know, so he's not buying like CNC machines and stuff like that. So I don't know who's doing it though. Probably easier than ever to do that and end up with a pretty quality guitar, you know, I would have to say. Yeah. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Annika Niles playing with Rush? I'm stoked. I think she's great. She's totally capable. I bought tickets. I mean, I'm going. So seems like she played with Jeff Beck. She's obviously a super capable drummer. I kind of think it's going to give him a kick in the ass. That's kind of what I think, you know, that you see these bands, and especially drums. I mean, Neil would have been the first one to acknowledge, like, that was why he dropped out of touring, you know, even a number of years before he became really ill. It was because of the physical challenges of drumming, and he just felt like, I can't do this at the level I once could, and I don't want to go out there and be unhappy with my own. He was so notoriously hard on himself. So when I see bands like AC/DC out with my buddy Matt on drums, Matt Logg, you know, Matt is just the driving energy in that show that lets those guys do their thing on top. And like, you can't go see them and not go, wow, the rhythm section, like between Chris Chaney and Matt Logg, and of course Stevie, you know, on guitar is great. And he's a little younger than Angus and Brian, you know, and so those that, you know, rock and roll is a little bit of a young person's game, I think, you know, a little bit, can be really demanding when you get older to perform at the same level. It's just the way it is. And so I think that she is like, she's obviously experienced. I think she's like 43 or something like that, and obviously has a great track record of work already and chops for days and all that, but also has like a cool, like, she's just got like a cool feel and sound with the things I've seen her do. So I think that's a perfect like backbone to go in there and kick ass and, you know, throw down and make a bed for those guys to be able to do their thing on top. And I think that's probably why they seem excited about it. You know, is that it's like, oh yeah, this is like, they even said it in the video, you know, like when they're talking about doing it, like, not like, we're like, yes, we can totally do justice to these songs, you know. And so that means they must be feeling like really good about, you know, the way it's been sounding and stuff with her. And I think the neat thing is that they sort of alluded to that it's, Rush is more than just playing the parts or the notes. There's that is sort of intrinsic push-pull thing with them, because they're not sort of metronomically perfect the way that they do things. They never were. Part of the sound of Rush is the way that it's not quite perfect, the unique thing in the feel, you know. It's almost like that there's a little bit of slop going on, and aggression in Geddy's bass playing that's awesome. He's not really sloppy. He's really tight. Alex has a little more, he's a little more Jimmy Page, you know, in his way of doing things. And I think there's something really interesting that happens with all that. And then with Neil's kind of thing, you know, it's almost like if everybody's hitting right on the same thing, then it's like this. But if everybody's a little different, like, but within reason, you know, and that's the magic feel of some bands, like Zeppelin had it for sure. Then the note gets bigger. Like everything gets a little bigger when it's a little more, and it's this weird intangible, you know. It's fascinating to me though. And so like even something as kind of technically bizarre as say the intro to YYZ, you know, when right, that part, if you listen closely and separate the, which is easier than ever to do now with things like you know, stem splitters and things that AI should be used for educational purposes, you can listen and go, oh, the guitar is actually not playing exactly what the bass is playing. You know, there's a few notes where they're kind of clashing or crossing over, and it's not exactly the same riff, which is part of the magic, part of that Rush magic. So anyway, back to Annika. She somehow, and they've been saying, I haven't heard her play with them. You know, nobody has, I don't think, but they're saying she has that thing, like where that's intangible, where she can kind of push and pull with them, and it works. And I found that really interesting because that's always been a thing with them, that they're not metronomically, you know, they've got a feel thing in a way. It's the Rush feel. It's very unique, you know. It's not funky, and it's, you know, it's its own thing. So yeah, so I sort of think that we're going to hear it, and it's actually going to be really, really cool. Like maybe I'm only guessing, but it's like I think there's going to be a bit of a sort of saucy thing going on with it. That I don't know why I think that, but I just do. That when I've heard her play, like it's because she's got jazz chops, you know, which maybe Neil never really had. You know, I mean, he kind of worked towards it with you know, when he took lessons from Freddie Gruber and stuff and started playing traditional grip and stuff, but he was notoriously Neil, and, you know, like his feel and everything. So, she's got this swanky thing, and to the way that she's a smoothness thing that, you know, Neil was a legend and, you know, unbelievable, obviously, you know what I mean? But he had a different set of influences informed him. He became the Neil that we knew, and he was unbelievable at what he did. But he didn't really have a sexy, swanky thing going on to his feel. It wasn't really like part of his sound, right? It wasn't really like there was not a lot of John Bonham going on in Neil's drumming, right? Or whatever, that kind of like sauce. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. He was a different kind of drummer. He'd probably be the first one to admit it. You know, I don't feel weird about saying that at all. You know, it's just kind of true, you know? So I think she has some of that, is what I'm getting at. A little bit of that. What do you think? What do you guys think? I mean, that little bit of that jazz kind of sauce, you know, and it's gonna be an interesting thing, I think. So there's Arthur with a super chat. Thank you. He says, here's some pre-tour coffee funding. Also, can you tell me again about that method to memorize notes on the fretboard? Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. So basically, go between the 1st fret and the 12th fret on each string and take a note. So let's do an easy one. Let's take A. So no open notes, only between the 1st fret and the 12th fret. Okay, so let's start on the low E string. We're going to take the A on the low E, right? And then we're going to go to the next A on the 5th string. It's at the 12th fret, right? Then we're going to go to the A on the 4th string, 7th fret, right? Then we're going to go to the A on the 3rd string. Where's that in between the 1st and 12th fret? Well, it's on the 2nd fret. Then we're going to go to the A on the 2nd string, right? Then we're going to go to the A on the 1st string. So all the A's. Now do that with any note, right? Pick an F or F sharp or G or whatever you want to do, and just do that on every string. And you can do it to a metronome that fast. Just go as slow as you have to go in order to hit everyone and not make a mistake. And then just up the metronome every day. if you do that, let's say with all 12 notes, all 8 notes, excuse me, all 12 frets, all 8 notes, 7 notes, really, isn't it? Never mind, I'm not as smart as you guys think I am, but you know what I'm saying. If you do that with all, it's 12 pitches. What am I talking about? 8, yeah, we're not just gonna, you know what I mean. Pick any note. Let's do E's. Now just do every note with a metronome. Boom, 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 boom. And you'll find that you'll be able to find F sharps, Fs, Gs, C sharp, E flat. So quickly, within like 2 weeks, you'll just know where they all are, all over the neck. It doesn't help you really memorize scales or like, but it helps you to just know like, where am I? Oh, I'm playing in the key of G. Where's home at least? Oh, okay. Well, here's all the G's. Here's all the roots everywhere. Or a note to avoid. Like, I got to remember in this scale, I can't hit, C sharp. It's C, like in the key I'm in. So avoid all the C sharps. Where's all the C sharps? And you can just kind of see them all of a sudden when you do that simple exercise. That's what I found. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. All right. Did you check out that Howard Benson vocal plugin? You've been talking about it, Joe, and yes, I did. I did go check it out. Looks pretty cool. I mean, how you can add, like an octave below really easily, and fatten things up, and then the effects and everything that's built in. It does look cool, Joe. Looks cool. Yeah, I don't do a hell of a lot of vocals here. I'm mainly like instrumental guitar guy, most of what I end up doing. So I don't know that I'm going to get it because I don't have a lot of use for it. But I guess it would be cool to have around for when I am doing vocals and that one time when I need to make something sound really huge and polished. Yeah. Yeah. What else we got here? What else we got here? Hasn't computing and computing machines always been AI? Well, I suppose the argument could be made, but it's more like you're asking it to think for you, like based on things that it's programmed with. So write me song lyrics. That's not really been something that where there's been the tech or the, like write me a song about, drinking coffee on a Sunday morning. And then 5 seconds later, it kicks out a whole series of lyrics that are not bad. That's what we're talking about, really. And so now it's like, write me, 115 BPM. Here's the chord progression, G to A minor to E minor, back to G. Write me a string arrangement based around those chords, that, or whatever, and it'll kind of kick out something that sounds pretty good. And it's like, it sort of boggles the mind in a way, because it's like Joe Satriani said to me once. He goes, "Where's the sound even coming from?" Like when it's making a guitar riff or guitar solo, like what's producing the it's true. It's like what's making the sound that sounds like a guitar. It's just weird, Obviously, a whole lot of number crunching power going on, but yeah. Support for AI beyond the most mundane tasks is a very slippery slope. No one really wants or is asked for it. Yeah. I mean, I sort of think like, did anybody see the South Park episode on ChatGPT? Wow, it sounds like you're having a hard time. Let me come up with a series of like, suggestions for you to like whatever. And it's just like the way that it works and some of the things that it comes up with. People are like relying on it a lot, and it's pretty good. I mean, I had it write a letter for me once when I needed a letter quickly. It was kind of a form letter, that I needed for something. I was like, write me a letter about, da 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 da. And I actually I think I had a letter done, and then it was kind of shitty, and I just sort of said, "Can you refine this?" And it made it sound way better. But the reality is, I could have done it on my own, of course. Anyways, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't bring a 412, says Michael. That's damn right. Yeah. Like it's never gonna replace that human thing, It's just not like at least live music. I'll put it this way. I don't care that much just on a selfish level about like nobody's making any money selling music these days anyway, streaming, unless you're like, friggin' Taylor Swift. It's like you could go, listen to a AI instrumental guitar album that probably would sound like, make me a whole album of songs that sound like Yngwie Malmsteen. You could probably do that. Who's going to want to listen to that? It's like when you know that it's not the person. I guess the answer to people are going to say, well, how are you going to know? But it's like we've already seen sort of the backlash with guitar players. I mean, who was the guy that I won't bring up his name. I think I remember it, but there was the guy that went through the whole backlash of stealing other people's music, right, online, and then recreate, playing it basically note for note. But he was obviously like kind of like fudging the production a little bit and stuff, maybe speeding things up and everything he was doing. And then folks like Rick Beato had chimed in and said, I had him in my studio and I realized he can't play very well, and things like that. Like there was already that backlash against folks like that, right? So on a human level, it's like we don't want to listen to that, and we don't want to be deceived. We want, like, there's something offensive about the whole like play through, sped up, overly perfect. Like if you can't do it in front of people, what's the point, And I just think that as human beings, that's what's gonna. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an optimist, but I think that's gonna win out over. What was my point with making money? It's like you can like. If I record another album, I don't expect to like have some sort of lucrative streaming income coming off of it. What it's going to be for is to be sort of a leader for other things, like maybe a clinic tour or a real tour, to go out and see me play or whatever. Because that's just where we're at right now. I mean, it's been the bottom fell out of nobody's buying music anymore. So AI songs versus real records, it's like it's going to kill our careers. The career was already gone as far as recording goes, as far as I'm concerned. That's why most of the studios have closed, and that's why there's not the money in it that there once was. There just isn't. So as far as recorded music and what AI can do, well, the bottom fell out already, ages ago, 10 years ago. So going to see shows, though, like I say, Oasis as an example, that's what human beings obviously want to do, because there was 80,000 people there, and they, done like whatever, 10 nights at Wembley, because people are so hungry for the real thing, right? So that's why I'm an optimist about this stuff. It's because they want to see and listen to and feel, that connection with human beings making music. Shouldn't that be obvious from just the fact that we're going and buying, I'm spending $650 for a couple of Rush tickets that are almost nosebleeds, That's how bad I want to go see those guys, like do their thing with Anaconda drums, So I guess that's why I'm optimistic about it, because it still just seems to be this desire from human beings to want that. So yeah. Jay says Annika will definitely help Alex and Getty grow. Yeah, it was interesting to see where it goes with her, and what I don't know. She might add some swing. There, I said it. Yeah, for sure. Like, and I think Neil would say it too, They could probably find it really interesting, So first Rush album shows the Page influence. For sure. He was a major Jimmy Page guy, I mean, you could tell Marshalls and Gibsons and, and his kind of pentatonic soloing style, the way he would go at things, for sure. They were very, Zeppelin influence for sure. Listen to the solo on like Working Man or something. It's so Zeppelin. Yeah. But will she be able to handle the John Rutsey parts? That's awesome. Yeah. I think Alex sounds all over the place, but it's still exactly what he meant to play. Yeah, I mean, I love Alex's. I grew to really appreciate. I mean, he was always, the rhythm guitar stuff and the arpeggiation through cool chords and his tones and everything. He was always like, always just great. Like Rush needed that with Geddy's more accurate and aggressive style, and then Neil's kind of more, his sort of almost like scholastic approach or something. I don't know what you would call it, but and then Alex was the sauce. He was the sauce, actually. uh the loosey goosey kind of like, that gave it a little bit of push and pull and stuff like that. I think a lot of the time was Alex. It was all of them, but but his you know what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm saying. Yeah. Are you an Ace fan? I appreciate Ace. I was never like a massive Kiss fan, but I appreciate Ace and his contributions for sure. I liked Kiss sort of peripherally. I was never like a hater, like, oh, I hate that band, or I was always like, yeah, I get it. Kind of fun and unique, and they forged their own path. The Rush's connection with Kiss is actually really interesting, just to tie that together. That they both toured together, and Rush always sort of seemed very appreciative of Kiss's, so the way they treated them, unlike Aerosmith. I think I think they were not treated well by like Joe Perry, and those sort of legendary stories. But yeah, Rush and Kiss seem to get along famously well. So yeah. Yeah, Sinner Swing has that identifiable thing. Alex and Eddie definitely had a lot of. There was that. They could swing like crazy. I mean, they had the sauce that was like, it was like hyper swing. It was like hyper boogie on 12 sort of ability to lock in and do that thing. It was so cool. Yeah. Let's see. Jay says, I feel you're spot on that she'll bring that swanky sauce. I think so. Yeah. It's like the difference between Mike Portnoy and Mike Mangini. Both are masters, but Portnoy's all over the place. Mangini's very textbook and exacting in everything he does. That's interesting. I haven't really delved that deep into the difference between them. I've played a little Rush with Mike Portnoy. Those are some videos of me doing that up on YouTube. We did covers of YYZ, Tom Sawyer, and Spirit Radio with a like 48 or 50 piece steel drum band. True story. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Yeah. What else? Neil was a big fan of Keith Moon. Yeah, Keith had some swingy sauce. Keith was so unique. There's only one Keith Moon, that's for sure. Yeah. Williams is exactly how I memorized the neck. Yeah, that little neck exercise is, like learning the names of the notes all over the neck. That one worked for me. Yeah, it's just easy. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? 1980, I got to see Rush Permanent Waves, Van Halen, Fair Warning in Detroit. Which show would you choose to see? I got to go with Fair Warning, as much as I love Rush. I mean, both would be amazing, but you're a lucky dude. You saw both those. The first time I saw Rush was in 88 or 87 or 88, and the first time I saw Van Halen was 84. So I did see them with Dave. But Fair Warning would have been a blast. Yeah. Yep. How about tips on improving phrasing? Learn licks that other guitar players that have great phrasing played, be it Gilmour, or for like modern guys like Chris Buck, listen to a bunch of his stuff and try and just copy some phrases and absorb it. I think John Mayer has great phrasing, He's a singer, so it makes sense. Tuning in or tapping into your internal rhythmic and melodic sense without the guitar in your hands, like what would you do, as a singer? I mean, this is what I tried to tell Melissa Etheridge when because she's a great singer and she's got a lot of soul. And when she was like starting to play solos more, it's like I sensed that she wasn't tapping into that. She was playing more like a guitar player, like the patterns and things like that. And I go, the trick is to sing the part in your head and have it come out through the guitar, like, because you're a stellar singer. So it's like just internal, like figure out how instead of your voice, you now play that part on the guitar. What do you want to hear? Because you can sing like super soulful bluesy, like that's all you've ever got to do. I think that was one of the things that I tried to, sort of impress upon her as a guitar player. I think she was like, oh, like, yeah, it's just like that's the one way, like, because we can all get into licks and like here's how and that's great for facility and like whatever, practicing through scales and doing things and stuff. That has nothing to do with anything that you would ever sing, like, as a what's the melody going to be, what's the so you just have to learn how to tap into that. And yeah. Okay. What else we got here? What else we talking about? Well, regarding Taylor Swift, would she ever be making huge money if she was just starting recently? Well, I mean, we've had artists that have showing up over the last. I mean, Billie Eilish started later, and she's done pretty well. Not Taylor Swift money, but who is got Taylor Swift money? I mean, she's a phenomenon. Yeah, I think it's still possible to become a massive superstar, and somebody that is stadium level artist or whatever. It's always few and far between, but yeah, and make crazy money, sure. We've seen artists over the last 10 years do that, and become that thing. Okay, what else? That guy who stole that music is back at it. Is he? Well, he's got an uphill battle, I would say, because of the yeah, it was a weird. I don't really follow, and I didn't jump on the bandwagon and make videos about it. This might be the first time I ever spoke about it, actually. But yeah, he was definitely this is just a little like to just do your own thing and play what you're able to play, get better at your own speed, and that's better than than living a lie. That's all I'll say. Yeah. Nobody needs that energy. What's your favorite EQ pedal? Probably the old school. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones out there, but the good old school, like the Big Boss, that Getty used, those are great. MXR 10 band, MXR 6 band, although the old 6 band's kind of noisy, but they all add some noise. Anything when you're boosting adds noise. The newer Boss, the EQ 200, I think it's called, is really awesome. Like the programmable one, I did a video on it. It's really cool, and the Source Audio programmable one's cool too. I think I like the Boss the most out of those two, programmable. And a good old Boss GE7 is great as well. So, what's the ones I have? I have an MXR 10 band, and I have I have Source Audio and the Boss too, the programmable ones. That's because I made videos of them though, and they sent them to me. But I have ones I've had for years that I have, or the MXR 10 band. It's the size of a MXR flanger, kind of on the bigger side. And then I have an old Boss, the whatever the heck it's called, the Eddie Van Halen one. Yeah. Okay, what else? What else? Super chat. Matt's Tube of You. What's up, man? See, you got the Western Exterminator guy there for an avatar. That's cool. The old Van Halen. Judging from what was said in the Rush Doc time stand still, it was clear Geddy and Alex wanted to continue. It'll be bittersweet seeing them without Neil, but I'm happy for them to get back out there. Yeah, that's actually the vibe I got. I mean, that it was like, we're not done. We want to do things. And I think that, you know, when a classic band or members of a classic band want to go do things, that should be just fine, you know? Just like Linkin Park. I mean, when Chester was gone, it's like there was a lot of controversy over them starting again for various reasons. But I mean, you know, all of the stuff about like, you know, honoring the legacy, dishonoring, you know, Chester's legacy or anything like that, or whatever, you know, kind of however it was stated. It's like, hey man, like, come on, like they waited a long time and then those guys want to go out and make music again. He wasn't the only member of the band. Like, why shouldn't they be able to go do their thing? Just because somebody in a band is gone doesn't mean that the band should stop necessarily, unless that's the decision that everybody in the band makes. That's what I think. Life's for living, you know, and it's like unfortunate situations concerning one member or various members don't necessarily, you know, that shouldn't, you know, doom everyone else's destiny to, you know, well, it's over, you know. Yeah. And let's not forget Max Webster, of course, also touring with Rush, recording with Rush, 100%. Could spend a lifetime studying I'm the One. I'm still studying I'm the One. I actually found things that I'm not playing right in it recently, you know, as well as Eruption. So I'm still working on those things. I still love it. So, yeah. See, Ozzy was at Sound City when Nirvana recorded there. They wrote Ozzy on their knuckles, all of them. Ozzy walked into the room, saw it, and said, "Oh," and left. Really? That is funny. That is funny. I was living at the Oakwood Apartments, which is now in Avalon, in sort of the border between Hollywood and Burbank, I guess you'd call it, the Cahuenga Path. Right before Nirvana was living there making Nevermind. I remember when I was living there, I lived there for 6 months when I first got to go to MI when I was in LA. And there was a band there that was staying there called, I don't remember them, but they had a song called Wild West. Living in the Wild, Wild West. Wild. Remember that band? They had this hit. They were there making a new record that I guess they were kind of a one-hit wonder. I never heard of them after that. Aldo Nova was there from Canada, of course. And I remember hanging out with him, like, you know, 19 years old, and he was out by the swimming pool, and I sat and just talked to him for, you know, a while. Well, he was living there making a record. And of course, I've told you the White Lion story. Vito Brato was living there in the next building over. This was my first place in LA. I move in, there's all these, like, you know, rock stars of the time living there making records. I thought, I've arrived. It was a corporate kind of apartment building. You know, that's why I moved in there. I rented a 1-bedroom with 3 guys. I slept on a futon on the floor for 6 months. Paid my dues. But you could rent like furnished apartments in this building, and that's why, you know, corporate, you know, record companies and whatnot would put up artists or musicians that were coming into town to make records. So like Nirvana, they ended up living there while they were making Nevermind at Sound City, and that was, I think, yeah, they moved in. I checked the timeline on it once, and they were there right after I had moved to Hollywood. It was a little far from MI. I used to drive in. I could take a bus, but it was like, took a, you know, 40 minutes on the bus or something from Hollywood with all the stops and everything to get to. It was a pain. So I moved closer for the second half of the school year at MI. Yep, that's that story. Okay, what else we got here? Is that a Jose in the amp rack? It is. That's exactly what that is. Yeah, probably gonna make a video of that, I think, pretty soon. It's cool. It's really good. Yeah, it's excellent. And I might as well announce now. I think I am going to actually get one of those, and I'm going to sell my Germino, I think. So if anybody wants my red Germino, I think it's up for sale. Hit me up if you're interested. You got my email. You know how to get in touch. It's great. Headroom 100 that Dave Friedman converted to with all the Jose mods. It's got the pre-master, the post-master, the SAT, both channels gang, so you can blend them. Great amp. Let me know if you want it. Would probably be fairly easy to put it back to stock if you just want a red Germino Plexi as well. It started life as a Headroom 100 and then did the Jose mods were put in. They could be taken out though if you want to plexify it. Wouldn't be hard. Yep. So contact me if you're interested. Okay. I never sell anything, so it's like if I think I'm gonna get one of those, and if I do that, then I'm gonna put that one up on the block because they're so similar. Yeah. Joe says I've been recording guitars with my AC-15 in the closet with a 57 in my pedal board, and it's been very fun, sounding good. Yeah, it's always a good way. I mean, that's the way I did my first record. Was basically cabin, closet, mic or two. You get good work done that way. Yep. In that Van Halen concert, Eddie climbed to the top of the main PA array and played Eruption. True story. I was front row. That's awesome. Crazy. Super cool. Yeah. Jim's asking me if Joe and Steve are working on any new songs or new album. I can't say that. I have no idea. But I appreciate that you guys are interested and want to know more about the future. Bukovac's another master of phrasing. Yeah, Tom Bukovac's got great phrasing for sure. For phrasing and other strategies, emulate horn players who must breathe. Yeah. Guitar does not require breathing unlike horn players. Just like singing. You have to breathe. And then you sing the part. And then you sing another part. And then you sing another part. Right? Same deal. So. Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see. I guess Sabrina Carpenter is a recent big breakout. Yeah, sure. Massive, right? Quite a few examples of, folks just wow in the last 10 years. Just got my tickets for CRS in Harrogate for February. Something to look forward to for the new year. Seeing you with CS Classic Rock Show for the last couple of years and with Satchify up in Glasgow. Thanks for coming. Yeah, Harrogate. That's always an interesting one. It's got a slanted stage, kind of one of those old theaters, old Victorian theater, right? It's got that stage that's kind of like, so you're always like, don't get forward momentum and fall off the stage. But it's always a fun gig. And sometimes I've had noise issues in there because there's a fire loop, something to do with the fire alarm and the loop, the electronic, whatever they do in England. I don't understand it, but sometimes it isn't really fun with single coil pickups. But the last time I played there, I didn't have that issue. So maybe they fixed it. I don't know. 2 years ago was like horrible. I remember having to use a gate. It's like really intense noise. So yeah. All right, what else? Kerry King uses the MXR 10 band. Is that right? It's a good EQ. It's really good. I like it a lot. Have you tried the XTS modified G7? No, I haven't. Just the original G7. What do they do? Do they make it quieter and stuff? Probably, right? If you can only choose one amp forever, what would it be? I mean, I can cover so much ground with a PT15 or PT100, because of the Fender Marshall thing. And I like having both those sounds. So it'd probably just be one of those. I could do probably just about anything, And there's a lot of amps I love. The Jose thing is a little different. It's that more aggressive rock and a little tighter, a little more. It's not a dark amp. It's got bright, and it's great for that thing. But there's other things that's not the right thing for. And the Soldano down there does a great, big grain distortion, grindy thing that's amazing. It's not right for everything. It's not right for the plexi thing or for low gain rock, really. Not, it's got a high gain voice that's great in its way. This Bad Cat right here, as you can see with the white front panel, killer modern AC30, amazing sounding amp. I love it. Does that thing, But if I got to pick one that does everything, I can only have one. It's that, because it's got the Fender Marshall thing. I can get all the way from crystal clean, sparkly, to, a high gain voice that's not exactly like the Soldano, or not as quite as hair metal as the Jose sound, but high gain nonetheless. And then with the boost built in on it, I can actually get like there's a lot of ground I can cover, like with a PT100 is all I'm saying. So that's going to be the one, because I can do the most with it, It's a kind of a practical answer. It's not like my 68 plexi or some kind of answer, like that. It's more like the practical, but when I look at it, like pretty much almost every gig I've done, not quite, I've done tours with other amps, a couple, but since 2009, PT100 of some variety, some variant. PT15 for one tour. I had SL68 and a Kelly out for one tour. Other than that, it's been pretty much PT100 all the way through, and that's because of it's my touring amp, just versatile, and I can go all over the map sonically with it, and still has a relatively simple kind of control layout. So, yeah. Yeah. What else? Let's see. Yeah, if you see Alex and Getty talking about touring on the YouTube channel, you can tell they're very happy to be back touring, as they're musicians. After all, they did it for so long. It's in their blood, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you sit home, when it's like, there's nothing like the feeling of the lights going down and walking out on stage. Sometimes you can be like, especially if it's with Alex and Getty, because they're such good friends, and it's like there can probably be no, what's the worst that can happen? A mistake, They're not going to fire each other. You know what I mean? Those guys are like, they're brothers. So to get on stage with a friend like that and be able to go do that, like, why wouldn't you do that again? When it's like, we can still go do this. Not to mention, just from the business. I mean, it's like they're big. The tickets aren't cheap, and it's like, hey, you want to go make like $100 million? Right? How many of us have that option, right? To just go, you want to go have some fun and make $100 million? I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but it's probably something like that, when we look at all the shows that got added and how much the tickets cost, they're gonna do unbelievable business. So it's like we could sit at home and watch baseball and play around in our home studios. We could get out on stage and play our music, travel around, make a bunch of people really happy, and make like $100 million. Seems like a good idea. I don't know. Just check the CRS website. Looks like loads of UK dates. So look forward to seeing the show. Yeah, please come out. We're going to be hitting the road early January, playing some places that we have never played. So that's fun. I'll just take a look really quick here, because it is interesting. Some of the venues. We're doing Norwich, which we haven't done for a couple of years. I want to tell you about the dates that I know that we haven't done before, because it's like, if you're in any of these zones, let's see here. What do we got on here? Yeah, Bristol, the Beacon Theater. Like, that's a new one. So the first two gigs, Norwich, that happens on the 8th of January. We haven't been there for a minute. So it's been 2 years. So then Bristol, never been there, I don't think. Now in Dartford, which was always like, oh, Dartford. But actually, the last year we played there, they had a temporary venue because they were renovating the Orchard Theater. I'm not sure if it's still the temporary venue or if it's a new revamped Orchard Theater. It was never one of my, not like I haven't had fun shows there, I have, but Dartford's it's just a little dreary. Come on, people in England, you know what I'm talking about. But I remember the last time we played there, which might have been, I think it was last year, with the temporary venue they'd built was like a tent almost. It was fantastic, actually. It's like a really, really good show, good theater for a temporary gig. So there you go. Let's see here. Dorking. I think we've played there. Eastburn Congress Theater. We've played there. I like going to Eastburn. It's fun. It's a sleepy retirement town, but I don't know. I always like going there. Liverpool, the Philharmonic, Friday and Saturday. We always do 2 nights there. Beautiful theater in Liverpool. The 16th and 17th of January will be at the Philharmonic. And the next night, that's in the middle of a bunch in a row. 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. 4 in a row. The last night will be in Birmingham at the Birmingham Symphony Hall, right next to the Black Sabbath Bridge in lovely Birmingham. That's a beautiful theater. That's probably my favorite venue of the tour, unless one of these new ones becomes my favorite venue. But Birmingham Symphony Hall is a great place to see us. And just always fun. It's a big ass, wonderful theater. The Corn Exchange would be the next show in Cambridge. Not a big place, but always a fun gig, the Corn Exchange. It's a good vibe. Kind of tight stage, actually. Almost feels like playing a big club. Or it's a totally unique, really. But I always like going to Cambridge as well. It's a beautiful town. Then the Old Forum Theatre in Malvern, which ranks as the worst backstage of anywhere in England that I've been to. But nice theater and always fun. I like Malvern. So, yeah, just the backstage is we always make fun of it. It's hilarious. There's like a 2-room situation with like a sheet dividing them. It's like a piece of felt. It's like, oh, this is a nice wall. They renovated the theater, but and so they renovated the lobby of the theater, so it looks very nice and everything in the lobby, and then the backstage is really grim. Showering is not fun there. A little bit of just a bad vibe. The Royal Concert Hall in Nottingham. That's a nice place. I like Nottingham too. Always fun. And then 2 nights at the Glass House, another great venue. Glass House is a beautiful venue in Gateshead, which is Newcastle, Gateshead, right across the river from Newcastle. Well, I don't have to go through all these dates, but anyway, there's a few on here that we've never. Loudon-Runroho, where the hell's that? Venue Saimaru. I don't know where that is. Is that in like Wales or something? I don't know. Then 2 at Cadogan Hall, the Lowry, the Alhambra Theater in Dunfermline. Where's that? Never been there. That's a new one. The Swan, the new theater in Cardiff. I think it is a new theater. I think that's a venue we've never played in Wales. G Live. There's a lot of dates on here. Damn. Getting into February. The new theater in Peterborough. Have we ever played there? I don't think so. So, Sands in Carlisle. The Ipswich Corn Exchange. I don't think we've played there. That's a new one. City Hall, Salisbury. I think a second date at the Theatre Severn because I saw one earlier. That's interesting. I think we're playing twice in. Is this getting boring? Sorry. For those of you that are in the States, you're probably like, we don't care about this. We're not going to get to see you. And then there's a bunch in, well, not a bunch, but we got about 7 dates in Europe, in Ghent and Finland, Tilburg. Yeah, a couple in the Netherlands. Doesn't look like any Germany next year. I thought we were going there, but I guess we're not. I don't know why. Anyway, is what it is. Okay. What else? That's cool because that's why I bought the Pete Thorn M75. Never mind, it was Pulsonic speaker, so I've been chasing that tone. Your cab is the one. What's the Pete Thorn M75? Is that in my 2 notes package? Is that what you're talking about? My Dyne IRs? Maybe. I wonder. Escape Club. That's the band. Wild Wild West. The Escape Club. I remember the bass player was really nice. He was living there at the time. I don't think they ever scored another hit, but nice cat. I lived at Oakwood apartment in 1989, says Espen. For 3 months, Brett Michaels lived there then, and Warrior Soul. Good times. Yeah, it was kind of good times. I mean, it had kind of like a shared, this is this big apartment complex in Hollywood that's still there. Well, it's not Hollywood, it's the hills of between Burbank and Hollywood, really, on Barham. And there are these kind of, there's, I think, 26 buildings, one for every letter of the alphabet. I mean, it's this massive complex with spread in the Hollywood Hills with a store and multiple different swimming pools and everything all throughout the complex. And they rent these places as either furnished or unfurnished. And you can do a 6 month or a year lease or rent it as a furnished. That's at least that's how it was back then. Like I say, it's in Avalon now. It's not called Oakwood anymore, but corporate housing where you rent it like a traditional apartment, and bands would stay there, as Espen is pointing out. Yeah. Is it worth getting a good point-to-point amp? I don't. There's no like advantage really to point-to-point. Any like a good designed PCB is just as good. That's just true. It's more difficult to replicate point-to-point amps because there's so many different points that have to be soldered properly by somebody that really knows what they're doing, rather than a PCB where you can spit out something that has all those traces and everything just done, and there's less human screw up potential, basically, and there's no difference in transmission of anything that's better or something when you're using that's the two different great amp designers that make quality stuff. Dave Friedman and John Sir both will tell you that a good PC board is every bit as good, if not better, for many reasons, and more reliable than point to point. Not that I'm not saying don't get a point to point amp, especially if it's made by somebody that really knows what they're doing and it's a small batch kind of, they're just building them one at a time and kind of doing a great job on it. Sure, they can be reliable and be terrific for years, but it's not a reason to get the amp, I don't think. Well, it's point to point, so it's better. No, that's not a thing. So that's, me trusting people that I think have built, a ton of amps and know what they're talking about and repaired a ton of amps. So yeah. Why is iLock such a pain? iLock can be. This is the way that you authorize plugins and keep your licenses all in one place and stuff. Always update the iLock app. That's what I've found. As long as you keep it updated, it really helps with new authorizations and keeping everything current stuff and adding. It's like you just always have to have the latest version of iLock Manager or whatever it's called on your computer. That's helpful. Yeah. Who's Sabrina Carpenter, says Arthur. She's a great big pop star. Do you like greenbacks more than V30s with the Jose? I can appreciate both. A V30 is a very, very, very bright mid-forward speaker as it is, so you're kind of giving it a bright, searing mid-forward thing. It's like too much of that flavor, maybe. So yeah, I'd probably go greenbacks or blackbacks, which I find are a little more aggressive than the old school, Pulsonic. Like I just like the sound of the late 70s blackback speakers a lot. That with a Jose, just classic, that woody sort of thing that they do. Does that make sense? V30 is just, it can be too much, I think, with so Jose's bright. It's got a bright cutting thing. Arthur says, I think your PT100 is stupid awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I do. Time's at 1:05. Okay. I'm going to hang another half hour, 45 minutes. And then I'm going to split. Got to go back to Japan this week, guys. So cleaning up some projects and getting packed and stuff and headed back for 2 weeks. for sort of the body of the tour that I'm doing. I'm in the middle of a tour right now in Japan, but I'm in LA. Yeah, so head back over soon to do 4 shows. Yeah. What are the differences between Thornbuckers and Gibson 490T and R? 490s are, I think they're Alnico 5. Let's look at the specs. Gibson 490T. I think. Oh, Safari can't open the page. Gibson 490T. I think it's a. Let me take a look here. Just looking for specs. If I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a hot Alnico 5. Oh no, it says modern classic. Why did I think that? The problem with the Gibson pickup numbers, 498, 490, they don't tell you anything about the pickup. Like, it doesn't give me any kind of like vibe. So I get mixed up sometimes. It's A2, 8.2K, double black, okay. So 8.2K. It's going to be kind of a warm, low output. You know, it's probably got matched coils. It's going to sound, without knowing exactly, but I'll tell you right now that I think it's going to sound a little darker and mellow. It's going to be a warm, mellow, even version of a PAF 490T with a 8.2K Alnico 2 situation. So at 490T and R, let's look at the 490T and 490R. Gibson 490R. R is the neck pickup. So the T is the, like, why does T, it's 8K Alnico 2, so slightly less wind. These are their low output A2 jobbies. I guess it's kind of almost like their modern T-top almost. T for, stupid. T for treble and R for rhythm. I always think neck bridge, but T for treble. Like, why would you treble in rhythm? Shouldn't be lead in rhythm. Treble in rhythm? How about treble in bass? Yeah, I would have called it B and N. 490B, 490N, bridge neck. And they're 4 conductor, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that they're going to be an even wind kind of. They're probably like almost like a slightly lower output 57 Classic. Let's see what a 57 Classic. Did they even make a 57 Classic? It's like it says 57 Classic Plus. There it is. 57 Classic pickup double black. It's a 8K A2. Really similar. So what's the difference? I don't know. I've never directly A-B'd them. Maybe I should get a bunch of Gibson pickups and directly A-B them, just bridge versions. That'd be a good video. Probably popular. I think like on 57 Classic, I know too, the coils are matched. So the one difference with my pickups, just so you know, is that we do a slightly different wind with a mismatch. It tends to open. Part of what people like about Thornbuckers, I think, or why they think it's got a great kind of clarity or open sound without being overly bright or anything like that. It's the wind of the slight thing that we do in order to make it, anytime you match the coils, the pickup tends to sound really, not necessarily bad to me, but it's sort of flat in kind of a very even sort of flat sound without like an open. By open, I mean almost like veering towards a little more single coil or something quality to it. Like a hair of that. So, which is what I hear even in the Sur SSV. I think it's a very sort of even, flat, perfect sound, is what it is. But it's not my favorite, actually. And even the hot version, which I have in my, has some of that, like that sort of evenness to it. Whereas with the Thornbucker, it's got a little weird, not weird, but cool, like open thing going on where it's like, the old pickups that were, they weren't exact number of turns of wire on every coil. They could be a little different and stuff. And that's why there's, some are good and some aren't, some whatever. If you go too far with mismatched coils, it sounds really weird to me. But if you just do a little bit, like, it's like, I don't know, like 50 turns or something on one coil more than another, it tends to sound really interesting, I think. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Yeah. What else? What else? What else you guys talking about? Bristol, you could do a stream with Mary Spender. I like Mary. She's great. Her and I get along great. She's cool. I'd love to do maybe she can come out of the show or something. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Chris Quinn says he got $36 for his last gig. I like it. Symphony Hall's a great venue. That's Birmingham. Why is it not lighting up? Light up. Friggin' StreamYard. I hate this mouse. You know what? I did something to this mouse that I did for those of you that don't know, you can make the right side click do something different than the left side click. And this is like right click, left, right. I don't like it. I did it, and now it's like I'm constantly clicking the wrong thing. I hate it. It's annoying. I'm not used to it, and it's been this way for over a year, so I think I should switch it back. Yeah. Royal Albert Hall, best acoustics. I don't know about that. I don't actually think that that's a widely held viewpoint. Maybe for an orchestra or something. I don't know about rock shows. Yep. Okay, what else? I'm from Birmingham, but never been to a symphony hall concert. Walk through and know it's good. I like the Birmingham Town Hall. That's a good old school venue too. Everybody played there. Sabbath, everybody back in the day. I played there many times. The Town Hall, smaller venue. We would usually do 2 nights there. Bit of a pain in the ass logistically backstage is my memory. The bathroom situation kind of. Whereas the Symphony Hall, I've usually got a bathroom in my own dressing room. Great. The little things. If I can get into a venue in the morning, because we roll overnight on the bus, and then I usually get into a venue, don't have a day room or anything like that in classic rock show, generally not, like hotel room. A lot of these places we play have showers and I'm fine with that, especially at a place like the Birmingham Symphony Hall, where more often than not, I got a shower in my dressing room. If I can get in a dressing room, it's got a couch where I can lay down, and there's a bathroom in there, it's basically a hotel room. What's the difference? I can do everything I need in there. So it's great. You get in there, lay your stuff out, jump in the shower, take a quick shower, shave, get ready to go, put on your clothes. Boom. By 9:30 or 10 in the morning, I'm out running around Birmingham, getting breakfast, having coffee. Don't got to be back till 4 for sound check. Good times. If it's some shared shower situation that's, pain in the ass, then you're like, I gotta wait. Somebody's in there. Yeah, that's the Town Hall. So it's all about the backstage. It's not about the venue. The venue sucks. No, I'm kidding. The Symphony Hall and the Town Hall, both nice places to play. Town Hall's just a smaller gig. It's about a 1,500 or 1,200 or 1,500. Capacity. Whereas Symphony Hall is like 28 or something like that. It's a big room. I mean, for a theater, pretty big. More like playing like the Apollo, the Hammersmith Odeon in London. What else? Okay. What else we got? Would you recommend a pedal switcher? Yeah, I like the Musicom Lab. RJM makes good stuff too. With a good old Boss ES series, the 3, the 5, the 8, all good. I'm a longtime Musicom Lab user, either the 10D or the big one, the Mark 7. I think they're on now, or is it Mark 6, Mark 7? Whatever it is, the latest version, latest and greatest. If you've got a bigger board, or the 10D is nice on my smaller board. That's what I've got over in Japan right now. Just like 5 pedals and loops. But yeah, I like it. It just means you can easily make programs where you can store combinations of pedals, MIDI switch other things like your amp easily, and you've also got a good high quality buffer in there so that everything's buffered. And if you want it to be kind of like you're plugged right into the amp, and you don't have all the stuff in the pedals and things in the chain when you're not using them, you can do that. So what's the downside? There isn't one. A little bit of programming, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Pete Martin there with the super chat. Thanks for the super chat, you guys. Thanks for your super chats, folks. Keeping the coffee flowing around here. I'm looking to buy a guitar, but the bridge is slightly off center against the bottom of the pickguard. Do you mean like what kind of guitar is it? Is it a Strat style guitar where it's probably the pickguard that was mounted crooked? Maybe not the bridge. It's probably more than likely it's the pickguard that's kind of been put on in the wrong place, which happens sometimes. If it doesn't really bother you, other than visually, gauge how much it bothers you visually. Make sure you can intonate the guitar. I would say there's not something weird like the bridge wasn't put on in the wrong place. I have guitars actually where it's like the holes for the bridge are not drilled in the right, like where it's like I can't intonate the bridge because I can't move the saddle either forward or back far enough for where the bridge was put on the guitar. That's a thing sometimes. So just make sure the guitar can be set up and it intonates well and isn't weird because of a bridge issue. More often than not, though, it's the piece of plastic. It's the pick guard is in a slightly odd place. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? Let's see. I want to do a comparison between the Marshall Jose and the Friedman Jose. Well, Marshall doesn't really make a Jose. They do an amp that has, I believe what Marshall did on those modified series was the saturation mod only. So they do the saturation sort of limiting mod, which is one thing that Jose would do, but it's not usually the thing that people equate with his. Like I think most Jose's were a gain mod. So in other words, like an extra tube stage in front, and the Marshalls don't do that. I do believe the mod is a master plus saturation, no extra tube stage. So yeah, just for what it's worth. Super chat there from YMESYDT. Tips on the easiest setup to play, sing videos from home. It's easiest setup to play and sing. Sorry, this hit a little like. Yeah, I'm not going to die on camera, but I had a little episode. There, it's better. It was a little gas bubble or something. These things happen the older you get. Tips on the easiest setup to play, sing videos from home. Like record videos? Like, are you trying to make videos? I'm not sure exactly what you're doing, or if you're playing along with pre-recorded stuff. Stereo, room, cabin, vocal mics, lights, iPhone cam. I mean, with a quad Cortex, I don't know exactly what it is you're trying to do, but the easiest setup, either a Helix or a quad Cortex, both have a guitar input and a 1/4 inch input, that you can plug a guitar into, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, whatever, and a microphone into and sing, and run a separate signal path for each. With an amp model and some effects and stuff, and then whatever you want on the vocal, EQ, compression, and you can output them both out of USB if you want to, right into a computer and stream to something like I'm on right now. So Lights, iPhone cam. Yeah, sure, you can stream out of an iPhone cam. Like, that's probably the easiest. Just put it in airplane mode and on Wi-Fi so that you're not getting phone calls and things, or disabling like whatever, so that you don't get alerts and things when it's just trying to film. But yeah, you can use an iPhone to do that. Lights, you need just anything from a basic ring light to something that's more sophisticated. Like a softbox of some sort. It's adjustable. But I would say a modeler for your vocal, and the modeler can be used as an audio interface, so that's a Helix or Quad Cortex. You can do this. Got a microphone input and a guitar input. You can come up with a separate signal path for your vocal and for your guitar, and that becomes the your input stage and everything to, put on a set of headphones, you can listen, and it's also the return from your computer. So you can set up a mix in headphones and yeah. Look into it. There's a lot of people out there. Just do like a little search for like Quad Cortex used for vocals and guitar at the same time, something like that, or Helix, same thing, and you'll see how people are doing it. And with something like a Helix, well, actually on the Quad, you could incorporate a looper, so that you can have a guitar loop, go and play a little solo, go into singing. You can get as creative as you want with these things these days. They're crazy. And you say without interference. I mean, you can do it silently, all within a. That's the easiest way, I would say. Yeah. Arthur says, I hate those Gibson pickups. I have a box of them. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's not like people rave about the 494, I mean, the 57 Classic is a good pickup, I think. It was designed by Tom Holmes. So for whatever reason, it's got a thing. I don't mind them. They're okay. Good solid tone. Yeah. Okay. Do you ever play or hear back in the 80s the new stack humbucker pickups? I'm getting lazy. Fit in a single coil spot made by Seymour Duncan. I put one in an old 70s Epiphone solid body, and it was amazing. They make a few different kinds. There's the hot stacks that have like the bar rail, and then there's also the classic stacks that are individual pull pieces. I think both. I think Dan Huff used the hot stacks. Classic stack, I mean, I remember those that was kind of the way to get quiet and sort of single coil. They don't really sound the same as a single coil when you do a stack, just because of the design of the pickup, but some of the qualities are still there. So, I think I had a hot stack in one guitar. It was red, as I remember, but I don't really remember. It's been a long time. Yeah. 490s are some of the duller sounding Gibson pickups. Yeah, a bit like a dull T-top. That totally makes sense to me. I mean, like a T-top is a great, like, open, low output thing. And then the new pickups, yeah, dull, like just kind of that darker, with an A2 magnet and a balanced coil, it's going to be just kind of there, I don't think it's going to have like balanced coils A2. It's going to be warm, rolled off top. That's just kind of the, that's going to be the tone. 498T is a bright pickup. Is the 498 the one that's 498T Gibson? I think that's the 14K hotter jobby. That's a bit more. Yeah, this is what I have in my SG, I think, which I don't mind. I never changed it. It's in the bridge of my SG. Bit more their version of a JB, I think. Right? It's 14.2K A5. So the A5 is going to give it that upper treble. Also a balanced pickup. It's going to be similar to like the, like a, does that make sense? I think like more JB. What do you guys think? Is the 498T kind of JB-ish? Bit more hot rock. Hot rock. Yeah, Les, that's true. The toggle button on a Lester says treble rhythm. That is true. Treble pickup, rhythm pickup. Never really thought about it before. Should say bridge and neck. All right. I'm pretty far back in the chat because we were talking about that a while ago. I'm going to move down. Where are we here? Let's see here. Yes, dull is the word. Perfect description, says Arthur. 498T matches Duncan Custom 5 spec 14K instead of 16K. Is it JB 16? Is that right? I guess. Maybe so. Anyway, up there. Hot. I've never compared a Custom 5 direct. I've got a Custom 5. I had it in a Les Paul for a while, but never directly compared it with a JB. I wonder how similar they are. JB is probably just a little darker, more in the mids, right? Okay. What else? Your Van Halen performance with Mitch Malloy keeps popping up in my feed. The show is incredible. I'd love to see it live. Yeah, we only did it that one time. Just was kind of a fun way to get out of the pandemic and back into playing live, but it's not something that we, I don't know. It was such a weird time when I was like, am I ever going to play live again? Like, because of, it was COVID and all that. So it was that time where a year and a half went by and none of us played. It's so weird. And I had the time to practice those songs then, like to just learn all these Van Halen songs, I've actually still got a set list up on the wall there from the show. There's just 19 tunes on it. And I sat there for 2 months and just practiced those songs and playing nothing but Van Halen, and it was like a good way for me to keep my chops and everything during when I wasn't playing live with anyone else and go out and do it, I think, Mitch wanted to go do more. And the reality, just for me, I think was that I have as far as cover bands go, it's like, and doing like any kind of like playing other bands' music, I kind of have a pinnacle arrangement with that right now, playing with Classic Rock Show, like where it's already built. I mean, we're just talking about these great, Liverpool Phil, the Birmingham Symphony Hall. These are 2,500 seat venues, 2,000 seat, 2,500 seat venues. I've got a great group of friends that I go do that with every year for a couple months every year. And how often, like how much of that do you want to spend your year doing, because it's great. It's awesome. And we have so much fun. Do I want to do it all year? And is that all I want to do? No. I mean, I like writing music and playing with original artists and stuff too. Like I'm going to do in Japan this week and playing with, other people. So it's like, it's this great situation actually that I've come to really appreciate. I love doing Classic Rock Show. I like routine. And the routine of having something that happens every January, February, into March, every year, that's been with similar venues and similar, like I know exactly what I'm getting into. There's a little bit of variety every year with we go some different places and build it a little bit and go to different countries. But like having something that happens like clockwork every year where I know the people, I know the crew, I know the venue. I know that I'm making jokes about the showers and stuff and the dressing rooms, but I know what I'm getting into. I remember where the elevator is and how to, it's like, and knowing that work has been there every year for the last 5 years for a musician, knucklehead musician with a high school education, has been like really. I don't take it lightly, It's not like the I'm not out there playing stadiums with friggin' Def Leppard or something or doing like whatever. But what I am doing is going having fun with my friends, playing some really fun shows, celebrating rock music. There's no bad songs in the set. The pay's okay. And we have fun every year. What's not to like? It's really fun. So, so anyway, just coming back to the thing with Mitch, it was like the idea of doing just a Van Halen thing where it was that like, there's already sort of those bands out there. I feel like, Van Halen's a very, very difficult band to do a tribute show as well. It's like, nobody can do it almost, it's like, I have never seen anybody that really has it's an intangible energy that with those guys, that they were the pinnacle of that thing, that they created that thing. I mean, they were part of what created that 80s party, that atmosphere, because they were so much more than that too. They were, that was on the sheen on the surface, but that we all know musically, I've talked about this for a million times, but the depth of Eddie and Al and like what they were doing, and then Dave's creativity and his, you know, tongue-in-cheek thing and just his showmanship when he was at the top of his game. It's a very, very difficult thing to ever try and replicate that. I don't know that it's even something that, you know what I mean? It's like trying to recreate any, you can't recreate the Beatles or the Stones or how. There are these personalities and it's the sum of the parts. And it's like, so there's something about doing like classic rock show where we're only doing a song or two. And when you do that, it's like you get this smorgasbord of different shows and different bands and things. And it's really, and you don't have to dress like them and all that tribute stuff that just gets weird. It's just like, you know, it's almost like when Pearl Jam covers The Who or something, or when, you know, you can go out and do a song or two and it's cool. But if you try and be The Who, then it's a, you know, that's impossible, right? So it's almost like we give you in classic rock show, like this is somehow more digestible to me or something, or the idea around it works better. We can play a Van Halen song and knock out one tune. It's great. If we were trying to do the whole set, it just gets like now you get into this different thing and it just, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, having said that, I mean, some of the people that do classic rock show, James, they do this thing called Rumors of Fleetwood Mac too, where they're basically, I think, the premier Fleetwood Mac. I mean, they've even got a video that starts the show that's Mick Fleetwood saying, "This is the best Fleetwood Mac thing you're ever going to see outside of seeing us." You know, it's officially endorsed. So it's like, and they are amazing at it, you know. But it's, you know, taken a long time, a lot of effort to build it to that thing. A little like Brit Floyd, you know, fantastic. But still, nobody's going to say that like going to see, like, I feel like going to see Brit Floyd is as good as Pink Floyd. I don't think Brit Floyd would say that. So, you know, I guess it's just, I'm getting around to the whole, like doing a whole set of Van Halen music. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It just, like, I have a lot of fun studying Eddie and his style and trying to get as close as I can to different licks and trying to, you know, get, when you stumble upon it, like, that's what he did. And it's like, that's the magic right there. And you feel like you uncovered a little secret or something. And it's like, in internalizing it, being able to do it is like thrilling. But he's a whole guy, like he's a whole, you know, that's like impossible to replicate, the guy, and then put that together in a, I don't know. It's a little bit of a intangible that makes sense. Where am I going with this? Tell me what you think. Choosing for Epi newer version Lucille stock Alico class Pro suck. C class but one clear, warm, deep, articulate handles, drive, distortion effects well. Think early Rush. Pearl Thompson from The Cure. Don't like 57. Choosing for Epi newer version Lucille stock. So are you asking about a pickup? You guys, when you, I'm just going to ask, I totally appreciate your super chat so much. Thank you so much. Can you be a little more like, tell me exactly what you're asking me? Because sometimes I'm reading a few of the comments and I'm not getting what you're asking me. You know what I mean? Like, just go a little deeper into the question and making sure with the, like full sentence, whatever, you know what I mean? Not to be critical or bit. I'm not trying to pick on you, and I appreciate your super chat. Thank you. But I want to give you a great answer. So I hope I'm getting what you're saying. I think you're saying you don't like the 57 classic. This is an Epiphone Lucille. You don't like the stock pickups. You want clear, warm, deep, and articulate handles, drive, and distortion effects. So you just want good humbuckers that are like an upgrade from, I mean, articulate, clear, warm, deep. When I think of clear, I don't think of hotter pickups, you know, like you get into a JB or something in the bridge. I don't think clear necessarily. I think that they do a mid-range distortion voice really well, more like lead guitar stuff. So this brings me back to PAFE style stuff. And I think that, I'm always going to recommend my own set because I've heard nothing but good things when people stick them in semi-hollows or PRSs or, try a Thornbucker Plus in the bridge and a Thornbucker neck, and I think you're going to be happy. Clear, yes, because of the whine. They're still warm. They've got great clarity, great middle position. So if you want some other options, because I always like to not sound like I'm just hyping my own pickups, a good set of antiquities can be a great thing, or the Seth Lovers can be a great thing. They're going to be just probably a little more on the warm side than my pickups, because of the A2 in both. It's A2 in the bridge and an A2 in the neck. Some people like the bare knuckle mules, the A4, both the neck and the middle are going to be very balanced sounding. Probably the bridge is probably pretty similar to a Thornbucker Plus. Anybody else got any any other suggestions? Those are a couple. I would say mules, antiquities. There ain't nothing wrong with a good old Seymour Duncan 59. Honestly, 59 bridge and neck. They're good pickups. They just are. So if you want good basic, not too expensive. Yeah. What's a Super Distortion 14? Yeah, the 13.8 or 14, something like that. I think they're just under 14, like 13.8 or 9 with a ceramic magnet, which definitely gives it a big fat voice, big fat, less like, big bass, big treble, big wide. That's Super Distortion to me. Yeah. Anyway, thanks to Sean for the super chat. Appreciate that. I hope I was able to help, and I hope I understood correctly. But I just want to give you an answer that makes sense to your questions. Yeah. What else? Sorry, in relation to the Thornbucker question, I have an Epi Lucille. It's okay. You don't have to give me. You gave me nothing. You're too kind. I owe you a coffee now. Yeah. I have Epi Lucille. Those are nice. Is it the new one with the Gibson headstock? It's like those are pretty cool looking. I saw somebody post about one the other day. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What else? Is the Goto 510 still compatible with your model, especially HH? Here in Italy, hella hard finding the Goto 510 is the same post spacing as a Wilkinson. So yeah, it's compatible. I'm a bigger fan of the new Sir bridge, actually. So you might want to try and get one of those, like Contract Sir. If you've got one of my models, they'll probably help you out somehow. The Sir tremolo is fantastic. So the new one. Yeah. Oh, that is in Wales. Venue Cymru. I see. North Wales. Beautiful seaside resort. I hope to say hello. Wow, that sounds nice. I didn't know it was a beautiful seaside resort. I always look forward to going to those. Even though in the winter in the UK it can be cold and dreary, but it's still nice being by the sea. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Colin says, looking forward to seeing you with CRS soon. Laura and I will be there rocking out. See you there, Colin. Come up and say hi, please, after. We always do a meet and greet after. Tom Lind. Sounds like my wife. Speak in full sentences. Makes sense. Don't bring that in the house. Don't bring that light in here. Speak in full sentences. Strange question, but where's your jewelry from? This is a company called Clocks and Colors. Yeah. Although I got I got like all kinds of crap on right now. But this ring is from the Great Frog, legendary store from London. Started in 1973, I think, in Soho. So I've had that ring for many years. Got 3 skulls on it. We all have one, so why not? That's Clocks and Colors. This I'm not sure. This is from a Japanese store called Aqua. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, go A2 warm. A2 is always warmer. Nice mids. Tennis lend. Rounded top. Slightly, not squishy, but, slight little, like, squishy bottom. That can be nice. A5's bigger bass and treble. A4, super balanced. Yes, it helped. Thanks. You bet. You bet. Okay. See, but we've got about an hour and 49. I'll go another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to split you guys. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? DiMarzio Super Distortion actually sound really good with their coil split. There's nothing wrong with the Super Distortion, man. I mean, it's a classic sound. You know, I think it's was, you know, many people, Ace Frehley. I mean, didn't Tom Schultz use them? Eddie Van Halen, you know, I'm pretty sure. And if it wasn't the Super Distortion, it was the Mighty Mike copy of one. So it was the same spec, you know. I think that's part of the first album sound for sure. So I strongly believe that. Or Duncan Custom, which is basically a Super Distortion almost, right? Similar spec, ceramic magnet, same wind, same strength of wind anyway. So yeah. I have one and a guitar here right now. That's it. But yeah. Yeah. So Epiphone, Lucille's have the Alnico Classic Pro pickups, which are Epiphone's version of 57 Classic. They have grown on me. Yeah, going to be a good basic A2 humbucker Lang. If you wanted a little, they could sound a little flat. That's the only thing, right? If you want a little more character, a little more open, a little more sauce, a little more fun, try the Thornbuckers. Certainly not going to be lower output. It's going to be similar, if not a little more, and at least in the bridge, and probably a little more sauce, just a little less flat. All right. What else? What else before I get out of here? Duncan Custom's my favorite pickup. Yeah, that's kind of their, you know, I think it's a 13.8K ceramic, right? I think that's right. 14K, somewhere in there. Rock and roll. Loud and hot. Yeah. Ace's Kiss Alive tone is one of my top tones. Probably Super Distortion. I bet. I think he was using those then. What's your go-to overdrive? Well, I usually use a clon of some sort. So right now it's I've got an unobtainium raw on my main pedal board here at my feet, which is a germanium, I think, version of the kind of one side's like a clon and one side's supposed to be a Dumbly amp overdrive. So that's what I got going on the board right now. And that's my overdrive. ASU Super Distortion. Yeah, you see him in the smoking guitar and all that. You can see it at the bridge. Peter Evans, thanks for the super chat. Excellent Sunday show. Thanks, man. Videos this week. Probably not. I've got one to edit still, but I got to go back to Japan. It's going to be a busy week. So I'm going to work on a couple things on Monday and Tuesday, but I won't have anything done. So I put out videos though for the last couple of weeks. I did one this week and one the previous week. I know it's not what I used to do, but folks, I'm getting older. What can I say? No, it's not that. Well, it might be. But yeah, I've got videos, you know, I'm going to do one for the Jose over the next little while. What else? Sugar cone speaker that I showed you last week. I did put that in a cabinet and have been experimenting with it a little bit. I think I'm going to make a video comparing it to a Greenback and V30 so you can hear the difference. That's the Schultz sugar cone. Pretty cool speaker. So that's going to happen. That'll be over the next, you know, month or so. At some point, I'll get that out. And then I got a bunch of other videos to make. I've got a pedal here from a Canadian company. It's called the Altosis Overdrive, and this is from Wawa Nolet. Nice overdrive. Nice forward mid kind of. There's a switch that lets you pick mid frequency, like 1K or 720. 1060 or 720, and some other nice things about it that are pretty cool. So might make a video for that. Wawa Nolet, I think. Yep. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate the super chat very much. All you guys with your super chats, too kind. Do you think the super distortion was designed to not only push the amp but also tame the bright cap sound? I don't think it was designed to tame the bright cap sound. I think it was just hotter and balanced, less noise. I mean, I talked to Larry DiMarzio about it a little bit, and I asked him. It's the quietest passive humbucker I have around here. And I asked him, is that because of both coils being exactly the same, like the same winds as well as Alnico pole pieces? Sorry, not Alnico. That's it. Why does it matter with you? Why do you say things sometimes, Thorn, that aren't? What I meant was the Allen screw pole pieces. That's what they are, right? Allen, like kind of like the hex screw, those poles that they use in super distortion. Same, right? In both coil. And what I learned was for a pickup to be truly the most humbucking, to buck the most hum, to actually cancel out the noise, if the metal's the same in both coils, that actually helps. So in other words, on a typical humbucker, you generally have, there's the Thornbucker 2. You can see you've got your screw coil and your slug coil. One coil screws, one slugs, right? Well, it's actually technically not going to be quite as quiet as a pickup if it was like 2 screw coils or 2 slug coils, because the metal's exactly the same in each. So that's one thing about a super distortion I found. It's very, very, very quiet, both coils being equal with the same metal in each coil. So that's one thing. Just to be, hot, less noise, all that stuff, I think that's what I kind of got out of Larry that day when I was asking him about it. So, yep. How's it compared to the Mavis? I think you mean the Manus, right? My overdrive. Very similar. I was able to make them sound almost the same. So they're both clone style drives. Yeah, you're asking about my unobtainium, I think, versus the Keeley, right? I do a lot of I think you meant Manus, not Mavis. And I do a lot of that on the show, I know, where I'm like, I think I know what you mean, and I'm going to go with it. I could be wrong, though. You might be talking about somebody named Mavis. Yep. All right. What's the best nickel Duncan humbucker pickups for 90s tone? I don't know. What kind of 90s tone? Kimtail or I don't know. Yeah. I never knew Slash was in AC/DC. He was. It's true. I lied. Pete, did you get that bar I sent you? You know what? I don't know. It's a good question, because I haven't actually been home. One sec. Where did you send it? I'm going to take a look, Scott, at where it went. Let me see your email. I'm not sure which address I told you to send it to, Scott. Why don't I see your email here, bud? Because you're Yahoo. There it is. I'm going to check and see if it's here. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but could very well be just out there. So ask me again next week, and hopefully I've got it here, or maybe it hasn't shown up yet. All right, guys, I got to split. I got to go. Got stuff going on today, but I will see you, I think, next week. For where am I going to be next week? Let me see. What's going on this week? I'll take a quick look at the calendar here. Wednesday. Wait a minute here. November 5th. There we are. Okay, so fly, arrive Japan that day, rehearsal that day, gig. It's a gig day in Japan. And it would be late after the gig when it would be that I log on to do Sunday live. So like Monday morning. So we'll see. I'll be traveling on what is next Sunday for you guys in the States. It'll be Monday for me, and I'll be traveling back to Tokyo that day. And I may be able to do something that day on the Monday. Either that or I do it super late at night after the gig for like, 45 minutes or an hour or something. It'd be kind of fun if I'm up and if it's possible for me to be awake, But I'll let you guys know. Yeah, I'll put up a watch page. So it might be a Monday thing next week, Monday morning kind of thing or something. Might be just an odd time. So sorry if that's the case. Just how it is for the next couple of weeks. But then I'm back in LA again. Like the 23rd, I'll be back. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 16th, I'll still be in Japan. I'll be playing that day, I think, in Nagoya or something. So Sunday Live could be odd times for the next couple of weeks. Sorry, guys. Doing the best I can. Doing the best I can over here. Doing the best I can. But I'll keep you posted. Thanks for being here. And thanks for all your super chats and everybody being cool. Love y'all. Miss you if I don't see you. But I won't miss you because I'm going to see you. You know what I'm saying. Props to Giorola's coffee. Delicious. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great week. Thanks for being here. Thanks always for tuning in and your great questions and your super chats. And Groomed Guitars. We love you. All right. See you, fellas. Bye.